it's a big leap of faith to start something new. To start a new business with no customers yet is scary. So a little bit of courage, I think, is important.
I think the most important thing when you're starting is to know exactly what you want to do, to have a really core idea of what your values are that are flexible enough that you can expand, but specific enough that you can grow in a smart way. So that's how we started. We had a very clear idea of what we were about and what we weren't about, and it was big enough but specific enough to allow everything that's happened to happen kind of naturally, to happen pretty organically.
I think it really worked well for us to both be trained as yoga teachers to really understand and fall in love with kind of like, and as yoga people, we don't love to call it a product because we don't really feel that way about it, but like really what we're offering is yoga, and so to get trained in that and really start to get to know that and fall in love with it, I think was really valuable. And then also like practicing a lot and practicing in various studios and teaching even in various studios too helped us a lot to see what we felt like really we jived with and what we thought either we could do better or different that like was more authentic to the yoga or the feeling that we wanted to create in our place. And a lot of studio owners don't even really practice. There's a lot of money in yoga right now, so there's all kinds of different studio owners, but for what we have and what we offer, it's been valuable for us to have that experience. We can relate to our teachers because we were them in other studios, like we know what it's like to kind of teach for other people, and so I think it helps us keep a happy family.
I was teaching a class, and I think there was an option for handstand. Actually, it wasn't even. People were jumping back. And some people, when they jump back, they like to press up into a handstand. It's fancy. And I had a big guy next to a small woman. Luckily, they were engaged to each other because he went up into his handstand and he fell on her and broke her wrist. And it was terrible, and she was in a lot of pain. And obviously, we had to stop class. It was a full class. And, put her in a car to the hospital. So that was...
Oh, and then stressful,
yeah, that was
dramatic.
Stressful. Yeah.
I was teaching Power Flow in the Earth Room before this part of the studio was open, before we expanded. And it was raining, which in that room, when it rains, it sounds so beautiful. It's like the most beautiful sound on the roof.
And the tin roof.
I'm like feeling it and teaching class, and it's a pretty full room as well. And all of a sudden, in the corner of the room, there's a literal waterfall. Like there's these sort of slats in the wall where the bricks meet, and it's exposed to the outside, but the gutters take the water down next to it. It's never been an issue. But I don't know why, waterfall, epic waterfall. A few of us kind of start gathering blankets and things around to kind of keep it contained, but it's a deluge. It just keeps coming and keeps coming. And so we build this kind of dam, and some students leave, and I get like two mops, and another teacher happened to be taking class, so she and I are just mopping water out the door. And I just tell everybody, like, if you want to stay, I'm going to stand here and mop this water out the door and teach the rest of this damn class. So if you want to stay, you stay. And I did. I just kept mopping the water out the door and kept teaching the class. While everyone was holding something, I think I texted the roof guy. Okay, so roof guy comes. I'm like, there's a literal waterfall in my class right now. Roof guy comes. I'm mopping the water out the door, teaching the class. Everyone's flowing. I'm like, yo, go check it out. Everyone's flowing, mopping the water out the door. Waterfall stops. I'm like, okay. Roof guy comes back down. There was a solo cup, just like thunk, perfectly blocking the gutter. The guys who were at the time working on this new roof just dropped it, and the water eventually carried it, and it landed just perfectly. You've never seen so much water. It was amazing. And it was like exciting. We like kept the class going. The people
Yeah, the people that stayed were really like, wow. Wow, I'm coming back
like,
here.
That shit was crazy. Yeah, it was awesome.
There's a lot of yoga people who are not interested in the business side and even kind of look down on it. And if you don't love, if you're not enthusiastic about branding and marketing and doing all the business side stuff, you know, then you're going to be stressed and broke. So you really have to be, in my opinion, what works best is to be excited about both sides.
Mm-hmm. I think the important thing there is the intention. Like, if you're focused on marketing, why? Is it because you want to share this beautiful thing with as many people as possible? Or is it because you're trying to make a little more money than you made yesterday? If the intention is good, then you can feel passionate about sort of getting it out there without feeling like you're selling it out or cheapening the product in any way.
For me personally, the biggest challenge is I'm always worried about the one person who might have a bad experience. We can have 100 great reviews, and I'm always worried about the one bad one that might come our way. So that's more personal to me, instead of focusing on the good things that are happening and the good feedback and all the happy people. I'm always looking for the thing that's going to bother someone or make them unhappy.
I think
boundaries, life and work.
Life and work boundaries are hard, but in some ways I don't care because this is such a wonderful thing to bleed into my life. I think what's maybe more challenging or maybe where I'm having some blockages is continuing to really give attention to myself and develop myself as a teacher, instead of just focusing on developing other teachers and getting them great, and also just being focused on the business. I've kind of been slacking on spending time for myself, taking workshops and teaching workshops. And so that's really on my radar this year, to create a shift and to go back to asking what does it take to be a successful business owner. I think it's really important to stay inspired and evolving, and for me, I need that kind of education and different kind of input to create evolving and really relevant output. So that's important. And I always am but I'll prioritize these emails, and I'll prioritize I can always find something else that it seems to be more important than going and spending that time on the workshop. That seems indulgent. But then when you ask me what's important about being successful, my answer is being a great teacher.
From the start, one of our main values, and what we always knew we were going to be about, was to be an outward-looking, big umbrella kind of business, kind of yoga studio, rather than an insular, inward-looking kind of thing. We'd seen a lot of studios that seemed very invested in this mystique, or were a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Would kind of poo-poo other studios, other styles, other teachers, and we never wanted that. We always wanted people to be really comfortable and happy with, we love all of yoga, and so we've never felt jealous or protective, or had this idea that there was some one authentic way to do things and everything else was garbage.
And also supportive of this idea that yoga can meet you wherever you are, open and accepting of all lifestyles.
Yeah, we never thought that we were in competition with anyone else. So that outlook has allowed us to be all over the city. So we have partnerships with all kinds of cool businesses and organizations all around town. We do a lot of off-site classes. We're involved in we have a philanthropic arm that just does good work and works with nonprofits around the city. So that's always been an important part of our original plan, is to be
Involved.
Yeah. If you look at our stuff, you'll see that we never do that. We never say we're the best this, or we're the oldest, or we're the most authentic, or we're the most anything, because we just don't really believe in that message.
We're just doing our thing.